Jamal Walker is a normal guy. He works in a theme park called Medieval World on a full-time basis. The owner of the park expresses worry about its future because of its financial suffering. Additionally, a similar park called Castle World is opening right next to them, and if they do not take necessary actions, Medieval World is bound to drift into bankruptcy. One fateful afternoon, Jamal is asked to clean the ditch around the park. As he was doing that, he noticed a medallion in the water which looked like it would be worth a huge sum of money, probably around $35 from the gift store. While trying to reach for it, Jamal finds himself fallen inside the ditch. Despite being a shallow ditch, he drowns in it. When he comes out of the water, he notices that he is no longer in that park. He rationalizes that the ditch must be in Castle World, which is near to their park. What Jamal did not know, however, is that he has been taken back to the past in the 1300s England. The first person Jamal met in his time travel is a man named Nolte. Nolte is a drunkard, and despite wearing ancient clothes, Jamal still thinks of him as being a worker in costume. Jamal makes his way into the city, ignoring the man. He comes across a great castle, which to him was the major attraction of the castle world. His attempt to go inside doesn't work as the guards stop him from entering. They ask him where he's from, and he says Normandy, from Los Angeles. The guards, however, assume that he is someone who they are expecting to come next week, so they let him in. In the castle, Jamal is introduced to a busy market where everyone is dressed in 1300s kind of clothes. His eyes suddenly land on a very pretty girl whose name is Victoria. Without wasting time, Jamal goes up to her to try his shot at her, but they are interrupted by the commander general of the crew, Percival. He acts like he is in possession of all the women in the town just because of his position as the royal guard. As a result, his ego is hurt when Jamal gets too close to Victoria. Jamal stops him, threatening to report his misconduct to the manager. Immediately, Percival pulls his sword on him, but Jamal thinks it is fake and astonishes everyone with his courage. Following that, Jamal meets a stranger who takes him to the king. At his request, the king has planned and arranged a wedding between his daughter, Regina, and the Duke of Normandy. Thinking of Jamal as being a messenger, he inquires from him when the Duke will be here. Jamal becomes confused but still plays along and names a date randomly. Later that day, Jamal is taken outside to witness an execution. He is excited as he hails them, thinking that they are actors who are playing around in the film. The execution goes smoothly, but when Jamal picks up the head of a rebel that was cut off, he is so shocked that he falls unconscious without uttering a word. When Jamal wakes up, he sees himself in his room with Victoria. He is putting on the medallion he found in the ditch, and this makes Victoria believe that he is one of her people. She shows him her medallion, and they are both the same, with the medallion being the symbol of the rebellions, who are fed up with the king's wicked judgment system. He has unfairly dethroned the former queen and has also killed many innocents who dare complain about his judgment system. The group of rebels are seeking to kick him out of the kingdom and restore the former queen to power. Jamal, who is still confused, asks Victoria to know what date it is, and when she tells him it's 1328, he is freaked out and wants to return to his own time even though he doesn't know how. A guard interrupts their discussion, inviting them to a horse riding adventure. Jamal amuses everyone with his horse riding technique because of his lack of knowledge about horses, to the end that even the kings enjoy the show. Later that night, the king invites Jamal to a royal dinner. Jamal notices that the party was dull, so he tries to make it more lively as he steps out, to the amazement of everyone, to dance like he does in the future. In no time, he is joined by everyone at the party, and it turns out to be the most beautiful and lively party ever held in town. At the middle of the dance, Princess Regina pulls Jamal aside and forcefully kisses him. She has always had her eyes on him since he arrived, but dares not approach him due to the fear of her father. Percival catches them in the act and is enraged at the audacity of the newcomer. At the same time, two rebels are seconds away from attacking the king. Jamal hangs on the chandelier and falls on the king, saving him, ironically, from the rebels. At the calm of the situation, Percival is reprimanded for not living up to the expectations of his position, but Jamal is praised and made the head of security. Percival is engulfed in fury and jealousy, but in the presence of the king's decision, he must put his head down. With his new office as the head of security, Jamal is handed a lot of responsibilities. He puts forward his idea to repair the opening to the castle with his head, which he argues will keep the enemies away. Before the implementation of the plan, the king calls Jamal for a more important task. A farmer was caught stealing from the royal garden and must be executed, even though the stealing was to feed his family. Moreover, with Jamal being the new head of security, it is his duty to handle the execution, but when the king leaves, Jamal lets the farmer go and even gives him some money to purchase food. At night, Jamal asks to be presented with the finest lady for his entertainment. He selects Victoria and gets her alone in his room with the excuse of sleeping with her. Victoria, on the other hand, still wants him to be an asset to the rebels and assist them in killing the king. Well, after seeing that the king kills people over vegetables, Jamal loses interest in rebelling, leaving Victoria disappointed, but he argues that he is not the man for the job, calling him a coward. She leaves his room. At midnight, a woman sneaks into Jamal's room and has sex with him. In his mind, it is Victoria, which is why he didn't protest. The next morning, the real messenger from Normandy arrives, and the king finds out that Jamal has been lying to them. The king, the messenger, and some guards storm into Jamal's room and find out he is naked with Princess Regina on his bed. Percival accuses him of forcefully taking the princess to bed, defiling her. Jamal argues that the princess has been deflowered before he slept with her, but no one listens. The messenger cancels the wedding because Regina is no longer qualified to be a duchess. Jamal is thrown into the dungeon and arraigned for execution, alongside the two rebels who tried to assassinate the king. The two rebels have already accepted their death and are only waiting for the day. Jamal makes friends with them in the dungeon. They tell him the story of the Black Knight and Revolutionary Warrior. It is believed that even if you bring all the money in the world, you still can't bribe the knight with it. He fights with all his strength for justice. In one of the battles, he was swallowed whole by a dragon. However, with the Sword of Gold, he cut himself out of the belly of the dragon and killed the beast. After the incident, he could even breathe fire like the dragon itself. At dawn the next day, the three of them were brought out to be executed in front of the crowd. In a moment of panic, Jamal tells the people that he is a wizard from the future and has the power to burn everyone. He tries to prove it by using a lighter, but the lighter doesn't work. When he is only a few seconds from being decapitated, the executioner begins to choke. This makes the crowd believe he has cast a spell on him, and going with the misconception, Jamal tries to do the same to the crowd. A fire breaks nearby, proving his powers, but in reality, the rebels are shooting flaming arrows from outside the castle. If you want to know what happened next, watch the second part of the video in this channel.